After Chainsaw Man blew up and was the one thing that everyone talked about, a lot of Fujimoto's past works and future works were brought to light. The main ones being the one-shot Goodbye Eri, and especially Fire Punch, which is one of his first works. All the assistants that worked on Fire Punch have all gotten their own animes, with Hell's Paradise, Dan Dan Dan, and even Spy X Family, to name a few. You wouldn't know that, though, just by reading it, because it's truly a unique experience unlike anything else you'll ever read, for better or worse. There's a reason, though, it hasn't gotten an anime. Fire Punch is a ridiculously made manga that you can see the passion dripping off of, but because of that, it's wildly misdirected and makes for a roller coaster of a story that you should still read. It's a story that teaches creators the dangers and wonders of passion, and the readers how to live. If you've read Fire Punch, you probably came out with two ideas. The first being, what the hell did I just read? And the second is, what you read was the most hype thing in existence. I implore that if you're watching this video and haven't read Fire Punch, go read it. Most say that out of courtesy, but I'm saying it because I don't think there'll ever be something like Fire Punch again. It may not be great, but it'll teach you how important writing and an author's purpose is when creating a piece of media, and just an overall fun ride. With that out of the way, Fire Punch, as I said, is one of the most interesting manga out there. You don't have to be interesting to be good, not at all, but it definitely helps. That's because being unique and stylization and confidence from the author are all heavily intertwined. Authors will go out there and just write a generic rom-com, and there's nothing wrong about that, but it'll go into the 6 out of 10 category because the generic rom-com has already been written. Now, the exact opposite can also be true, where a story is so unique and unconventional that it doesn't pay respect to the media before it, and just becomes unfollowable and overwhelming confusing. Fire Punch is the latter, and it makes sense. Take Fujimoto, a new mangaka who just put his name out there, with his unique writing style that is heavily present in Chainsaw Man, that has been unrefined and wants to make something so shocking that everyone will be talking about it. Of course, it's going to be a slew of ideas that are heavily disconnected, but are driven with passion. With that reasoning, I can only give him some pass, but sometimes the story sabotages its own ideas because it feels like Fujimoto was constantly changing what he wanted to do with the story. Fire Punch starts off with its story being about revenge in a desolate, broken world. Everyone has turned against this malevolent ice witch, which is the only thing that unifies people together. Blessings are given to the world to help them, but instead fuel human factories pumping out iron and electricity against their will. One man is strong enough to stop it, though. Living on the wishes of his sister, constantly burned by the man who destroyed his home and can do nothing except leave a trail of carnage and destruction behind him. This is the story of Fire Punch and Agni. This idea persists until he burns down Behemdorg, which I consider the start of the second act. There are a lot of great things going for it up until that point, though, as its great side characters like Sun and Togata. Togata explicitly reflects off how Agni is just living as Fire Punch for other people, and has had to set aside his own feelings and passions for others' dreams and whims. San reflects childlike wonder and how the cycle of pain in this world affects people. The destruction of millions reflects how this path only results in harm for everyone. It's amazing. The world building of Behemdorg is also amazing, combined with its beautiful artwork. It's just mwah. It hasn't gone full crazy, but it's super sick to read and is a solid experience. It also shows happiness with its scenes in the scene to its semi-cool villain of Judah. Unfortunately, there are some clear warning signs for the complete dissolution train wreck that's soon to come. And the clear ones are the dog scene. It's disgusting, and the idea of Behemdorg being a terrible place was already established. It was there for shock value, but still was not needed. And Judah is also a pretty big red flag. Seemingly just looking like his younger sister, I thought it was just same face syndrome. But then we enter into the Fujimoto throw shit out the window period of Fire Punch. This period of time is Fujimoto trying out two different ideas. After the sick conclusion of the first arc, I think he was pretty confident about himself, and he should have been. It was really good. But I think he wanted to do something more. Maybe he didn't think Fire Punch was going to last this long, or he just had so much passion to unleash. He threw two different ideas at the wall. The first one was a home run hitter with Agni, Togata, and Doma's arc. The second is one of the biggest fumbles in the manga, and that's the Ice Switch. The Ice Switch was a sick allegory of faith, how people will villainize anything to band together or use it as an excuse for their misdeeds. There shouldn't have been any real reason for the Earth freezing over, yet Fujimoto decided to make the Ice Switch real, and it steals Judah away. It being real almost makes what Behemdor has meaning, which is really weird, yet he keeps cooking and it gets worse and worse. It's revealed that the Ice Witch and Judah all have the same face as Luna's because they're a very special type of human, and they have every single blessing, and they escape to space, and now they have to feed Judah into a tree to warm up the Earth, and so they can come back, and it's complete nonsense bonkers that doesn't fit into the plot anywhere. Especially since right alongside that is one of the best plot lines that are out there with Agni killing Doma. I've never had such media whiplash than going from one of the most brilliant writings of a character in their arc to literally one of the most pull out of my ass too deep for you moments. Which, by the way, the tree doesn't come up again until the exact ending, which is just wild. So it feels like he looked at his previous strings and made all these knots and connections to get from one place to another, which was very messily orchestrated. It was done through passion, though. He really believed in the next arc, and it's a beautiful one. He just didn't know how to get the foundation to get there. That's what differentiates a novice authors from those who have already completed work. They realize the need for foundation so they can use their passion properly without ass pulling. Overall, though, this tree plotline feels like it came from a different manga, yet Fujimoto believed in it, and you can see it just didn't have the restraint to use it properly. I feel like I'm busting his balls a little bit more than I should have, so let's move away from that complete deconstruction to Agni and Doma's reunion. This happens right before the Ice Witch, and is a scene that fully encompasses what Fire Punch is. Throughout the video, I've tried to not really sum up the plot, but I think it's really important here. We start off with Agni and Togata having an argument about not understanding each other while also not understanding themselves. Agni finally leaves behind the Fire Punch mentality, no longer motivated by Togata's beliefs or Luna's beliefs, but Agni himself wanting to take revenge on Doma. This is a very powerful moment because Agni is learning how to live for himself, even with all of his pain, and it's beautiful. Agni walks into the preserve and finds out that Doma has a family now, and takes care of them. He honestly feels remorseful but can't feel sorry because he doesn't remember it. Behemdor twisted his mind, inflicted pain on him, so he created more pain in return. Doma took in his pain, and instead of continuing to inflict it onto the world, decided to make a difference and make peace. It's the main concept of Fire Punch, of pained people creating pained people, unless they take that pain and make peace with it. Agni decides not to kill Doma. He does not want more pain in the world. That is no longer his goal. A man who burns everything he touches has finally come to peace with his pain. He no longer wants to see the world burn. Yet flashes of his life come into view, Luna telling him to burn the world, to live, and he comes back, and everything is gone. Doma is dead, the preservation is on fire, and he tries to kill himself by drowning in the lake, yet Togata grabs him and burns to death. An endless cycle of pain, and everything close to him is gone. This, in my opinion, is some of the best writing that Fire Punch has to offer, and if it ended right there, I don't think it would have been that bad. It shows off how brilliant Fujimoto is when he's able to use his passion, and can tell a really human meaning in a very fantastical world. Unfortunately, this leads right back into the bullshit tree plotline that completely ruins everything that came before it. Fujimoto had two passionate ideas, and now he has to ram them together, and it's very messy. Agni finds the tree and burns it, and finds Judah at the top with no memories, and tells Judah that she is his sister, Luna. The reason behind this is that Agni realizes that he can only cause destruction, so now all he can do is cope. Through the Ice Witch's power, he also loses the one thing that makes him Fire Punch: the fire. This entire interaction with the cycle of pain and trying to come at peace with something that burns you alive is amazing and beautiful to see from an author who had, at the time, had little experience. This fortunately ends the tree plotline for now. I think, though, writing Fujimoto realized he enjoyed the Doma plotline a lot more. With passion, unfortunately, the only way to know what you enjoy and don't enjoy is through practice. You can't fully blame him for the tree because he's just trying to do something he thought was cool. It does have its repercussions, though, but now that the tree is out of the way, we can now enter the next phase of Fire Punch, and it's the tying everything together phase. The story's now ending. Fujimoto has had enough chapters now where he realizes where he wants to put his passion, and that's with Agni and the kind of this lower down subplot, make it more human, and that's where he goes with the Agni and Luna plotline. But he still wants to tie in all of his other plots, like the tree and everything, and sometimes it gets really messy, but he also brings in previous characters like Sun, and it's really cool to see. So let's first focus on that smaller plotline with Luna and Agni. Agni and Luna settle down in a salt factory with Doma's former family. They're hesitant at first, but they become a really good family. One of them even has a kid. Everything's not as it seems, though. Agni is no longer tasting food, he can't sleep, he can't feel happiness, yet he fakes all of it. As it's stated in the manga, he closes his eyes, he forces down food, puts on a smile, all for Luna. He's living as Agni for other people, for this makeshift family to make others happy once again. He falls into bad habits, falls back into the destructive mindset of living for other people. Although he is taking on the ultimate sickness, this ultimate sadness where he feels hollow to an insurmountable degree, he continues pretending to make his pretend sister happy. It's insane. It's coping to such a high degree where at this point I believe Agni is no longer there. Yet, neither is Fire Punch. I think the story could have ended with killing Doma, but I'm glad it didn't because of this. It shows that when you're in a circle of violence, you'll do anything to try and obtain that happiness you once had, even if you have to pretend to an extreme degree until you let go of that dream and come to terms with yourself. It feels very human, almost to an extent, and it shows off Fujimoto's skills once again. There are a couple of flukes, especially with like Luna and Agni having a sexual relationship, but I think the amazing writing should just be what's focused on. Fujimoto has also taken his past passion with the Ice Witch and is able to rope it into the general trauma and cycle of pain with San. Usually when a writer makes a mistake or does something that they look back on and disagree with, they just kind of leave it still. They just make it wash away and hope the audience just kind of forgets about it. Fujimoto is able to tie mistakes in, makes it into a valuable plot point, and recycle it for something different. He takes the Luna being Judah, who's actually a special breed plotline, and brings it back in a unique way. Luna is stolen from Agni to warm up the earth again by San's orders. Roping in San was something I don't think a lot of readers saw coming, or many authors could have done. I think a lot of authors couldn't have made Fire Punch in general because I think it could only be done if it was your first big manga. With knowledge and expertise, Fire Punch could not have been made. It's 110% driven by passion and 0% built on conventions and experience. This idea of bringing back all these loose threads that were originally this raw passion that had nowhere to go is brought back together instead of being forgotten about, and it really shows how much the author has grown. When Luna gets taken, the family finds out that Agni is Fire Punch who killed their father and family. We had an amazing scene where one of the family members tells Agni to not go, even if he killed their family. They don't want him to cause more pain and be in more pain. It's this last moment that Agni can finally let go of Luna and have his own happiness. Everyone wants him to be happy, even the damn reader. This is the last chance for the cycle of violence to stop. But Agni just refuses. It's frustrating in a good way. Frustrating in the way where we can't remove our eyes, not the way where we think it's stupid. We want to believe that something will break, that Agni will finally realize he deserves happiness, even if he killed all those people. He just needs to be him. Yet, Agni no longer exists. He leaves his family behind that he lived for with years and years to chase after this faint idea of Luna. He finds San with Luna and the Ice Witch, in a village of people who praise the fire punch, that he will warm up the earth. Yet the cycle of violence continues as he fights to get Luna back. He burns down the entire village. San, the first person he saved, the person he gave many years to, is now dead by his hand, by Agni's cycle of violence, for not letting the dead rest. After burning everything to the ground in the name of reuniting with Luna, Luna smashes in Agni's brain, removing his memories as he regenerates, as he can now finally live as someone without his past pain. He can live as himself, finally. That was Luna's last wish, was just for Agni to be happy, and that was the only way she could have ever done it, for him to live. The cycle of pain is finally over. Every single loose end has been tied off. It's an amazing story of generational trauma. Who do you live for? Who you are? How people perceive you? The cycle of pain. It's beautiful. It ends with Agni finally giving up on his dream that Luna will make him happy. He has a clean slate, and now he can finally live for himself and obtain true happiness. The Passion of Fujimoto had simultaneously had some of the biggest fumbles and biggest wins of this manga career, and he finally tied it all together into something beautiful. But he just couldn't stop himself. The manga continues. Fujimoto, for some reason, is still hooked on the idea that Agni is supposed to be happy with Luna, that that's his happy ending, but in my opinion, it goes against the entire idea of the manga. After Luna is sacrificed, Agni lives on this planet where the sun is back, and they find weapons that they're going to kill themselves again with. This idea of the cycle of pain, and Agni has the chance to kill himself, where he can end it. But for some reason, he just can't. He lives long after the Earth dies out, and he finally reaches Luna millions of years after, and they embrace each other, and the manga ends. It's garbage, in my opinion. The happy ending would have been Agni realizing that Luna is dead, and that's okay. That he just needed to live for himself, and can carry on her will. Yet, Fujimoto was hooked on this weird passion plotline of Agni and Luna. Reading Fire Punch is a roller coaster of emotions ranging from this is peak to please stop, and that's because of his unfiltered passion. We see how well the first part of Chainsaw Man did, and that's because through Fire Punch, he was able to refine that passion and learn how to use it. There'll never be anything like Fire Punch again, although objectively it's probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. In my heart, it's an 8 or 9. It's just unfiltered passion. It's so cool to see. It may seem like I'm dogging on it. I did just say that the ending was garbage, but there are so many cool things that you'll never see again. And it's just wonderful. Hopefully one day we'll be able to see Fujimoto's passion on the big screen.
Wow, you made it all the way through. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. It means a lot. Thank you.